All right, let's talk about Jaxson Dart of Ole Miss, who is now entering the NFL draft, and in a draft that has often been talked about as a two-quarterback draft with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders at the top. Jaxson Dart is one of the guys who people are maybe bringing up as potentially a third option that maybe should be getting talked about more. Let's start off with this play, because this is what he does really well, is kind of the simple stuff, which, hey, that's 90% of football, is just running the offense as designed, right? Here, you see how this play can work. Zone coverage, you have a receiver run a deep shot to push the corner further deep. Another receiver just tries to get into a gap in coverage more towards the outside. When this play begins, there's two things to note. For one, you're going to see that this play is relatively working. I mean, there is going to be a window right here, but Dart is going to be under pressure. I think Dart does a very good job at making these types of plays work. Watch, before he gets hit, is able to get the ball out. They're able to get that completion. Really, those timing plays, he is very good at. Again, it's nothing fancy, but you know what? First, you have to make sure a quarterback can walk before you can see if they can run, and he can definitely run the offense as designed. If you're looking for a Brock Purdy type, so to speak, well, then you have this. Although I will say, similar to Brock Purdy, actually, is he can make some plays after a play breaks down. For example, this one, where it's going to be a zone coverage concept once again, but this time it's a zone blitz. So just just six guys in coverage, 5-man rush. Dart's going to take the snap, and honestly, the blocking does a pretty good job at holding for this point. So it is worth mentioning, stepping towards the top of the screen is about to open up, but that's not where Dart's looking here. He's looking towards the left. You can't see the whole field. Some people look at this and criticize the quarterbacks. I tend to kind of always have the mindset of, well, okay, you're not going to see everything. Sometimes your read's one way and something else gets open on the other side of the field. It is what it is. But the bad thing for me is that, okay, nothing is open. So now for Dart, well, what can he do in a situation like this? How can he try and make something still happen in a positive way? Well, watch as he does get outside the pocket, ultimately is able to make a really nice throw off balance. And keep in mind, that's off balance running towards his left to be able to make that play work and throw it down the field. So that's a really good play by Jaxson Dart. Again, I think it's good to mention at this point, he did used to play baseball, and you kind of see that. Like, he played third base, and that's definitely a position where you kind of have to make these types of throws. But ultimately, he is a player who is not just going to give you what the offense can give you. He's not just going to run an offense. He can be a bit of a playmaker. You have this as well, where it's going to be kind of a similar thing. The play as designed isn't going to quite work out. Watch, Dart takes the snap. You see that, again, it's zone coverage. A lot of guys trying to get into a gap in coverage. Nothing really is getting open at this point. So, okay, well, what does Dart do? Well, again, watch as he's able to kind of navigate the pocket well, gets outside the pocket, and ultimately does make a throw and gain some yards on a play that really did not have any yards to gain on it. So again, he is capable of doing this. That's not why you're drafting him. You're drafting him because he is a game manager, but he is capable of this as well. He's not giving you nothing. And also, he also knows in these situations, one, to get rid of the ball, or one, to even take a sack sometimes. Sometimes that's what you have to do. I think that's a very good job of minimizing the losses and maximizing the gains. This play is honestly a really important one to talk about, because really, when it comes down to how you view Jaxson Dart, in a big way, it's going to come down to how much you care about these types of plays and who you give the credit to on these types of plays, where this is a zone coverage concept right here, and it's a clever play call. It is. They're going to fake a screen pass towards Jaxson Dart's right, but that's not actually where they're going to throw the ball. It's actually going to be that route right there. That's where he wants to look towards. So, okay, simple enough. Let's see how this works. Dart takes the snap. He's going to look over the middle right here. And again, is this open? Like, okay, there is a window, but he's really going to have to not just throw this one accurately, but throw it well-timed. And timing is really difficult to get down. And again, timing is different in the NFL than in college, but usually the guys that have it down in the NFL kind of had it down in college as well. And as you see, he is able to make a perfect throw, and that's not always the case. This is a thing you can get better at, right? So that's why some people might say, I don't really care if these are your positives so much, because, okay, what about a guy who, doesn't have those positives, but has other positives that you can't teach? A lot of people view this as a fixable issue if it is an issue, and so they don't necessarily give you as much credit when you can solve it. But at the same time, like, okay, there are a lot of players who aren't able to do this kind of thing, right? Like, and never figure it out. So the fact that he can do this kind of thing is definitely in the positives for me. Also, something like this where, so the play itself is actually going to get wide open. It's kind of a concept designed to get a receiver open over the middle. That's less of what I'm talking about here, though. Watch as when Dart takes the snap, he's going to look over the middle of the field, and as of right here, there is pressure that is going to get to him. And this is another thing I think he does a very good job of, is he does not get brought down too easily. He will take a sack too many, I would say. That's not his strength, and he does have a little bit of, of pocket presence issues. Although I would say I think those issues are a bit overblown, but here is a benefit of what he can do. Watch as he kind of runs through to contact and then throws off balance, does locate the open guy. And like I said, that guy was wide open for sure, but the fact that he was able to find the open guy while under pressure like that, to me, is still impressive. When he's under pressure, when he's having guys try and tackle him, and when he's running, he can still keep his eyes down the field, which you saw here. As for negatives, so I gotta be honest, a lot of the negatives that people have, I don't really think are as big of negatives. Like I brought up the pocket presence thing. I don't think those issues are that bad. There are some things like, okay, there are guys with stronger arms than him. That's absolutely true. He doesn't have the strongest arm. This play is probably the one other biggest negative, I would say, and it doesn't happen a ton, but it is on his tape. Watch as when he takes the snap. So something kind of weird happens down the field. It's the coverage doesn't quite go the way that LSU wanted, and there is potentially a window for Dart to be able to make this throw down the field. It's going to be tough though, right? He's going to have to really make a nice throw, and he's going to trust himself on this one. Dart throws one down the field, and it does not work out. Ends up, as an interception instead of a touchdown there because he didn't get enough on it. Doesn't have the best downfield strength, right? I think usually over the middle is fine, but these kind of trying to push the ball down the field plays aren't the best, and sometimes he will just make a decision that you say, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. Still a young player, still definitely can get that out of his game, but that is something that as of right now is in his game. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I like Jaxson Dart a lot as a player, actually. I think that there's a lot of really good attributes here, and while I do think there is some questions to be had about what is his upside and is he ever going to be an elite quarterback, ultimately, he's not getting drafted with the first or second overall pick, so that's less concerning to me. If you're drafting him later on in the draft, getting a guy who can just play, I mean, I think we just saw with Bo Nix, like, sometimes you don't have to pay that much attention to ceiling. How good can someone be right away for 4 years of a rookie deal, and then if they're a first-round pick, a fifth-year option? That is a very valuable asset if you have a solid quarterback who can do that. So for me personally, yeah, I like Jaxson Dart. I think I would draft him, and it's not just because we have the same first name, although definitely different spellings. But those are my thoughts on all of this. Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.